Welcome to Guys We Fucked. Guys We Fucked.
Guys We Fucked.
I'm Krystyna. I'm Corinne.
We're
sorry about last night. The anti-slut shaming podcast. I never stop.
Hey, fuckers, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Guys We Fucked.
It's the anti-slut shaming podcast. I'm Corinne.
I'm Krystyna. That electric scooter might be fun, Corinne. It also might be deadly.
Uh-oh.
CNN reports. This is today's news item, guys. A lot of shit's happening in the world. We're recording this intro in advance, so if something crazy's happened, we're not commenting on it because we haven't lived it yet. But man, these scooters. My friends told me I looked like a human missile, said Brandon Nelson, a 32-year-old firefighter. Oh, as he recounted an accident last month on an electric scooter in San Diego, one of the hundreds released into the city's streets by Bird, a California-based rideshare company. Heading to a hotel across town with 5 other firemen. Is this a porn plot? Whoa. He struck a bump in the road and flew off the scooter. Like most riders, he wasn't wearing a helmet, and he lost consciousness after hitting the pavement.
God.
At the UCSD Medical Center, Nelson was treated for a concussion, a broken nose.
Ooh.
Oh, that beautiful broken nose.
Jesus.
And lacerations across the face, leaving him with wounds that have yet another month to heal. I was in the trauma unit for maybe 20 minutes when a 28-year-old man was wheeled in with a head injury. He had also been riding a Bird scooter and had a brain bleed, so they were taking him up to the emergency surgery to relieve the pressure in his head. Nelson, who grew up riding dirt bikes and motocross, never had an injury like this. I'd fallen off those bikes before, but I always had a helmet on for protection, he said. With the scooters, you're wearing whatever you wore to dinner. It's true. These scooters, guys, you got to watch out for them. Many people have died on these scooters. Rest in peace. Carlos Sanchez Martin died on a Lime scooter. I'm not going to go into these details. It's sad, but he died, and that's sad. You guys got to be careful. You have a public that hasn't been aware of the inherent dangers in what they see as fun recreational vehicle. They're no safer than any other motorized vehicle, and in some ways are more dangerous than a bicycle. I think in a lot of ways.
Because they're motorized, yeah.
And users can locate and unlock the devices using their smartphone, but scooter companies require little training for first-time riders. Bird's app, for example, just shows users a series of graphics that tell riders to do things like bring your own helmet and ride in bike lanes. It's very helpful.
Yeah.
Lime operates in 70 cities across the country. They offer a How to Lime instructional video, but the company does not require riders to watch it before riding. So they ain't gonna go, wait a second, I want to ride this scooter. Should I look up if there's an instructional video to tell me I have to not get lacerations in my head and possibly die? No one's doing that. They're just trying to scoot across the city. They don't got time for that. And then this girl, I didn't realize how fast the scooters went and how quickly they accelerated. They travel up to 50 miles per hour, Corinne. That's fast, said Daniela Rivera. Shout out, I don't know her, a 25-year-old actress who lives in Los Angeles. I got on the scooter, pressed the gas, and the scooter just completely slipped out from under me. I skid across the gravel floor and have burns all over my legs. She couldn't work for a week.
Who's also scooting on gravel?
I mean, you got to scoot on the sidewalk, but maybe
trying
that's...
to scoot to an audition?
Girl, don't scoot. You got to Uber or Lyft or something.
Yeah, you got to get there faster.
So, just guys, be careful with those scooters out there. They're real risky. Some cities are trying to block companies from putting them in, but then apparently the companies just go to the city and drop off the scooters and don't say anything. And some cities have been ordered, the sanitation workers have been ordered to just take the scooters and take them. And this is a picture of the firefighter guy giving the thumbs up with a neck brace
and
on.
And he's a firefighter, so it's unlike other, unlike police, they actually have to keep it pretty tight when they go in windows.
That's true.
And stuff,
Yeah, they keep it real tight.
At a certain point, you just can't get in a window.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Okay,
Small space.
Careful on scoot. You might want to scoot, but wear a helmet. Maybe wear knee pads, guys. You got to be careful.
I also think there's something to maybe adults just weren't meant to scoot. It's I haven't scooted since I was a child.
I haven't either, but I really want to scoot.
And maybe there's a reason for that.
Oh.
It was so fun.
I know. Did you have a Razor scooter?
No, but by the time Razor came out, I was done. My scooting years were over.
You weren't scooting no more?
Yeah, I wasn't. And also, like, because they were so popular, anytime something is really popular, I just hate it.
Never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, come see us live.
Yes. Chicago, that's sold out, and stop bitching about it. We're going to be in Rosemont, Illinois.
Which is like right by Chicago.
One of those
20
is
minutes.
already sold out. I know someone said, but with traffic, it's like 60 minutes to 90
listen
minutes.
To a podcast.
But then also, I was thinking in my head all the crazy things I've done for people that I've liked and how far I've traveled, and I've taken planes, trains, but it's like
automobiles.
What's your level of commitment? And if it's not 60 minutes, that's fine. We know that now.
Just be traveling for like 5 hours.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And I'm like, shit.
And that's fine.
Like
but that's the offer we have. We have no other Chicago offers. So
yeah,
this is what you got. Take it or leave it.
We have.
We'd love to see you. If not, we'll be okay. I mean, it's like, I'm not gonna kill myself.
But I hope you come.
I would prefer you came, but if you didn't, I can't beg you. I cannot beg you to come. You do you. And then Winnipeg, Canada, we're gonna be at Rumors in January. We know it's cold. We'll bundle up. Thursday, January 24th through Saturday, January 26th, 5 shows total. Go to sorryaboutlasttnightcomedy.com/tours for all other dates. We also update shows frequently on our social media. It's Sorry About Last Night for joint information. I'm at Philanthropy Gal on all social media.
I'm Krystyna Hutch.
Thanks to everyone who came out to the live recording of Two Less Lonely Girls for the New York Comedy Festival. Again,
how'd it go?
We're recording this very far in advance, so maybe no one showed up. Not sure.
That's not true.
But continue listening to the podcast. Come? Oh God, I don't think that. I don't think
you never know.
I don't think he came. But yeah, listen to the podcast. Mondays comes out on Spotify and iTunes.
Glamourpuss is the greatest day of the month besides your period because you're not pregnant. Hey, Glamourpuss is happening Saturday, December 1st in New York City at Zinc Bar, 82 West 3rd Street. It's co-hosted by myself and Wendy Starling. The show will sell out. There's a link in the description of this very podcast to get tickets. It's 21 and up. And if you guys have music, if you're a musician or you know a person who is a musician, but they would want their music submitted. Every song that you hear on this podcast is user submitted, which is really exciting because you guys are fucking talented. So if you are interested in submitting your music, go submit streaming links. You gotta send streaming links. That's very important to gwfpodcastmusic@gmail.com, and Mike Coscarelli will listen to your tunes.
Yeah, don't send them to us because we're not forwarding them. Just because you can't follow directions out of spite, I'm not forwarding them.
Maybe you should have pressed the rewind button instead of tweeting at us. I'm going to buy a mug that says that. Tackle your holiday shopping and get everything you need for you and your loved ones at MeUndies. MeUndies uses a coveted micromodal fabric, which is 3 times softer than motherfucking cotton. Plus, with 4 different cuts for men and women, you can get a style that is perfectly suited for you. All available in classic colors and adventurous prints. Speaking of prints, this holiday season, MeUndies will be releasing a new print every Tuesday, so you can celebrate the holidays right down to your very core, your booty. But why stop at MeUndies? Or why stop at undies, rather? MeUndies also offers holiday prints in their lounge pants and onesies, both of which are made from the same micromodal fabric as their undies. And holy shit, I have a pair, and they're fucking the most comfortable lounge pants I have ever worn in my entire life. This shit is soft as hell. It's like you're sitting on clouds. And now our listeners can get 15% off their first pair, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee when you go to MeUndies.com/GWF. This is a no-brainer, you guys. That's MeUndies.com/GWF. Now you got your MeUndies. You scoot, your booty looking all good. What are you going to do with your titties? That's where Third Love comes in. Support for today's show comes from Third Love. Using millions of real women's measurements, Third Love designs its bras with breast size and shape in mind for an impeccable fit and incredible feel. With cups from A through H and brands up to 48, bands up to 48. I was like, brands? It's all Third Love. Up to 48. Third Love offers double the number of sizes that most other brands offer. Check out the new cotton collection, which was created as a result of customer requests for especially soft, breathable bras and underwear you'll want to wear every fucking day. And remember, if for some reason you don't love their product, returns and exchanges are easy and free. I love Third Love's bras on my titties. I got tig old bitties. Well, I started working out and they got a little smaller, which is good. I was glad about that. But now I'm a D. And a lot of times when I go to other places to get a bra, first of all, it's a pain in the ass because I don't like shopping for clothes. And secondly, bras for chicks with big tits, they're too like robust and tight. I don't like the way they feel. Third Love makes me feel like, you know, I don't feel my boobs all the time when I'm walking. I really like that in their bras. And they're tagless, so no itches. I love that. I think it's a really good touch. Third Love knows there's a perfect bra for everyone. So right now, they are offering our listeners 15% off your first order. Go to thirdlove.com, THIRD, love.com/GWF now to find your perfect fitting bra and get 15% off your first purchase. That is thirdlove.com/GWF for 15% off today.
Thank you to Casper. Casper is a sleep brand that continues to revolutionize its line of products to create an exceptionally comfortable sleep experience one night at a time. With 3 mattress models, the original Casper, the Wave, and the Essential, Casper mattresses are perfectly designed to soothe and cradle your natural geometry. Not to mention, the breathable design helps you sleep cool and regulates your body temperature throughout the night. And it's delivered right to your door in a small, how do they do that, size box with free shipping and returns in the US and Canada. But the best part is that you can be sure of your purchase with Casper's 100-night risk-free sleep on it trial. After all, you spend 1/3 of your life sleeping, so you should do more stuff. No, just kidding. You should be comfortable. Guys, I love Casper mattresses. I think they're really fun. I sleep on them every night, but a thing of note is that when dudes sleep on my bed, they're always like, oh my God, this is so comfortable. What kind of mattress is this? And I'm like, it's a Casper. Now get off it because you didn't buy it. All right.
Mama's got to do stuff.
Get
Leave.
the fuck off this mattress. You don't live here. Thank you.
Ooh, it sounds like a great rap music video.
It does. That's a real insider tip. You know, the true fans.
Figure it out.
The true fans will know what's up with that one. But guys, get $50 toward select mattresses by visiting Casper, spelled like the ghost, CASPER.com/GWF and using code GWF at checkout. That's Casper.com/GWF. Offer code GWF for $50, 50, off your mattress purchase. Terms and conditions apply.
I made out with a guy named Casper once.
You did?
Yeah, he had long blonde hair. And he was a bartender.
Casper.
It was a Casper with a K.
Yeah. Casper.
He had a nice butt.
I had a crush on a man named Conrad with a K.
Ooh, fun.
I think he was Polish. I think that's why it was a K. One of those high school crushes. Hey, Conrad, you listening?
How you doing? You single?
Send you a lot of messages.
Did
How
you have
are
a lady?
you? Remember MySpace? Those times were good.
Zanga?
All right, so we're gonna read an email from the fucker inbag. Not inbag. I don't know what the fucking inbag is. Mailbag. If you want to email us, it's sorryaboutlastnightsshow@gmail.com. You know what's gonna annoy us, so don't do that.
What's your email, Corinne? I want to email the show.
Hi, ladies. Please don't say my name. The subject line is, was this incest? Uh-oh. I'm 21 and I love rough sex. I like to be demeaned and humiliation type stuff to an extent. Nothing crazy, but I like it. So I also have crazy anxiety and I'm on meds, but sometimes they don't help. That's why I'm reaching out. I sometimes remember things from my childhood where I'm like, oh, fuck, I messed up. So thinking back to when I was a kid, I used to play, quote, princess and slave with my sister. I always wanted to be the slave. I also used to give her back and foot massages all the time for fun. I knew I liked it, but I didn't know why. I had a tingle in my pants, but I didn't know it was sexual. Thinking back now, I'm like, fuck, I was doing kinky shit and didn't even know. Is this incest? I'm like really freaked out because that's so crazy. I wasn't like masturbating after or anything. I just like to play the games, and now I have this kink, and I'm like, what the fuck? This was definitely related to that. Thank you for reading, and pretty please answer me. I'm so anxious about it.
Girl, your anxiety, you don't have to worry about this one.
What?
You don't have to worry about this one.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. I was like, I read this and I was just like, okay, no, number one, it's not incest. I mean, like, if like you're not like making out with your sister. This is when you were a kid.
Fingering her, Jesus.
Yeah, this is like when you were a kid, you were experimenting. And I would say, like, even if you were like pretty young and it was like a consensual, like same age exploration type thing. And even if you were doing something as intense as like touching each other's like vaginas or something, I still wouldn't include that in incest. It's exploration.
Unless it was like a brother sister, I'd be like, that might be.
Nah, I remember this story from when I was like, I mean, again, really young, and it wasn't like, I mean, they weren't having sex, but they were just definitely like touching. I mean, I think it's like you have these parts, you don't know what they do, and it's
feel
coming.
A little tingle.
If you're the same, if like you're both, you know, it's like 2 4-year-olds or 2 6-year-olds. It's coming. It's coming from just a curious place. You don't know enough to be like, I'm gonna fuck my sister. You have no idea.
This bitch on the couch right now. We watching Zoobly Zoo, bitch.
Yeah, I think because again, like this is just like a bunch of shame, and like, you know, no one wants to talk about it because stuff like this has been so filled with shame, and like, so like, oh my god, this is gross, and then you can never talk about it. But that's why we need to talk about it, and that's why I try to select these, you know, quote, weirder emails about weirder subjects so people can just like back off themselves, and not spend 20 years worrying if you did something fucked up. I mean, obviously, I only know the information you're giving me. Back and foot massages. Who doesn't like those?
Yeah,
I pay strangers to give those for me, so that's not weird at all. You give your mom. I used to give my fucking third grade teacher a light back massage. I mean, obviously, in this day and age, that would never be allowed. She's a woman, but like,
doesn't matter.
I gave really good massages, so like in the middle of a class, I would do it. Yeah, I mean,
that's very nice of you.
Yeah, I guess everyone.
Did she ask for a massage?
Yeah. I mean,
all right, lady. Go order Zeal or some shit. Come on.
This was long before the days of Zeal, though.
Dude, my mom used to tell me, because she had chronic pain in her neck and shoulders, that I used to massage her all the time as a kid, and I would be like, Mom, I'll massage you, like her back, neck, and shoulders, and she'd be like, the more you massage me, the longer I'll live. And I was like, I don't want mommy to die. And then I grow up and I'm like, Mom, that's fucked up.
Oh my
that's
God.
Fucking rude, but also pretty hilarious, Nancy. You got me to do what you wanted. I like it.
I mean, you know, relaxation is, but yeah, you didn't do anything wrong. And well, and also I was just gonna tell a story. I think everyone has like a story from their childhood. I remember, and I think we've talked about this before. Like I used to play house with like my friends, like from the block, or my friends from school, both male and female.
Yeah,
and we would like do weird things,
touching.
Like pat on like the genitals, like over the clothes. I think it was usually, or like put a mask on and like try to like kiss. I mean, this is just like you. It's
such a sweet way of exploring your own body and what another person's body. It's an odd experience to be like in front of another person's body up close for the first time. It's kind of sexual, but like you don't even know that at the time if you're that young. You know what I mean? And it's kind of just like, you know, fucking don't beat yourself up over it. It'll be okay. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go to jail for incest.
Yeah,
man, you do have anxiety. That's something like I would fucking get caught up on that shit.
Yeah, and also like the kinks that you have now they have nothing to me. There's no correlation. Between them,
and a lot of times there is not a correlation between someone's kink. Sometimes there is, but sometimes there's not. And sometimes you just see it in a porn and you're like, that's fucking hot. And sometimes it's the smell of dryer sheets that makes you horny. You don't know. People are all kinds of stuff. It's okay. We're okay. As long as you're not violating somebody and doing something without their consent, you're fine. You're okay. You know, like we said, we were recording this email or this intro, you know, a week in advance. I'm probably having a lot of sex. I'm going to guess, you know, I'm going to predict the future and be like, man, Krystyna, she's just out there fucking. She's fucking her vibrator. Okay. I fucking love this week's guest so much.
This was an amazing, excellent interview.
Today's guest, she is a sex educator. She's an artist. She's written several books. One of them, the title is Urban Tantra, Sacred Sex for the 21st Century. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Barbara Carrellas.
Up every day to a huge bouquet of hugs and kisses. You know where it leads, nothing's guaranteed. Who knows what this is? mimosa's a special way, and I can't resist. Oh, that's why I need your company, your silly way, your love for me.
Okay, we are here with Barbara Carellis.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great.
I was reading a lot about you on the way over here and about the training that you have. You went to the School of Sexology?
No.
Okay.
No, that
I always
didn't
get
happen at all.
fact check the Wikipedia page with the actual person because sometimes it's not true.
No, my training is wide and varied with a whole bunch of different people and life experiences and created learning experiences. I did not go to school for sexology, but the certification board took into consideration everything I had studied and turned it into a certificate.
Oh, wow.
Oh, awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
What got you interested in sex? I mean, aside from its sex. I mean, I'm interested in it.
Yeah. It was the two things I was most interested in as a kid, as a teenager, were theater and sex. And I pursued the theater part of that interest for the first basically half of my life, or more, actually, more. And the AIDS crisis in the 80s brought the question of sex back up. Although I did not leave the theater, that's, in fact, I worked on Broadway in New York for many, 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 many years.
Damn.
And I continued to do so. However, obviously being at one of the epicenters of the AIDS crisis, more and more of my friends and colleagues got sick and died. And it was wild because it was in 1982 I was doing Nine the musical, which won like all the Tony Awards and was like this.
Is this before the creation of Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS?
Just because the New York Times had not started talking about AIDS till July of 1981.
81. And what year was this? 80?
And Nine opened in 82.
And the president wasn't, to my
didn't talk about it till the mid 80s.
Just no one recognized it as everybody saw their friends dying around.
Well, we didn't call it AIDS then either because we didn't know that's what it was, because we didn't know what caused it.
What were their guesses?
Gay cancer.
Oh, that wasn't just like a sign on a Westboro Baptist protest on a funeral. That was like an actual guess people had.
Then, of course, there was God's Retribution. That was one of my favorites.
Oh, boy.
It was rough.
Yeah.
Finally, by the mid-late 80s, I'd gotten really despairing. And I went to a support group founded on Louise Hay's work with people with AIDS in Los Angeles. And in New York, it was called the New York Healing Circle. And that's where I met Annie Sprinkle and Joe Kramer.
Oh, Annie Sprinkle. I've heard.
Annie Sprinkle, the performance artist, then porn star.
Yes.
Transitioning into feminist porn and performance art at the time. And Joseph Kramer, who founded modern day sexological body work, but back then Body Electric. And we all had the same question: what are we going to do about sex? Because right now nobody's having sex because sex equals death. But when people start having sex again, which they will do, what are we going to do about sex? And specifically, we were concerned with our community. And we wanted to find some way of doing sex that also had a grief relief system built in and a spiritual aspect, given the God's retribution angle.
So you didn't have a lot of knowledge about AIDS at the time, but you knew it was coming
By
from sex?
By the late 80s, we knew.
Okay.
And we're getting into the late 80s. Yes.
Okay. Did straight people have AIDS as well?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's not what the press was looking at.
Right. Of course not. Yeah.
And then, of course, we were sitting there going, you know what? A lot more straight people are going to get this.
Absolutely.
Because now we know how it's transmitted. It's transmitted through sexual contact and body fluids, blood. And so, obviously, people who shared needles, drug users were at risk. The whole population was actually at risk.
Yeah.
So Joe it was a former Jesuit, and he was a body worker, and he'd done breath work therapies primarily rebirthing. We won't go into that, but it's a therapy.
Rebirthing?
Rebirthing is a therapeutic breath.
Meaning spiritually rebirthing?
It's a breath technique. It's more like a psychological technique.
Ooh.
You use your breath quite forcefully to bring up old traumas.
I feel like I'm getting an anxiety attack even thinking about that. That is so something I could use.
It's pretty intense. He started using breath work mixed in with body work and specific erotic touch, kind of like sexual reflexology, genital reflexology.
So like touching those places?
Touching very specifically.
Where? The clitoris?
Yeah, he started, gay man. He started with cocks.
Okay, cocks.
Cock reflexology.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's this spot? What's that spot?
Right.
You know, like that.
The tip, yeah.
Okay.
Combine that with
Cock
conscious breath and great body work. And because he was borrowing from rebirthing, the breath is bringing up stuff. And imagine age of AIDS, how much emotional stuff was there.
I bet, yeah.
And it was turning into an incredibly ecstatic, healing, intimate, important experience that was sex-based, but it was something else. And it turned into what is now sexological body work and has formed the basis of a lot of what I do, although I've changed the breaths dramatically to make it less of a therapy process, unless of course that's
and more sexual
and more meditative. And my intention is to take people on a journey.
Okay.
It's just my take on it. You could do it any number of different ways, and I offer that to my coaching clients, depending on what their interest is. But so yeah, back then, and so Annie and I started studying Tantra because Joe had the Taoist angle, Taoist sexuality being a branch of Chinese medicine. He had that covered.
Sexuality, Taoist sexuality was a branch of Chinese medicine.
It's as opposed to in India where Tantra was more of a spiritual practice / social political revolt.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And so Annie and I started studying Tantra, which at the time was primarily based in America on what came through the Osho ashram in Pune, India. And later Oregon, and yes, we've all seen Wild Country, the documentary.
Wait, is that the same?
That's the same Osho.
However,
he had his take on Tantra, which is now commonly called Neo-Tantra, was a translation of Tantra for the West in the times we live in. And a lot of the Tantra people are doing today is based on that Tantra, which is not a bad thing. If you read his takes on Tantra and his analysis of Tantra, Osho was actually an incredibly intelligent person. There's a lot in there of serious merit. So we started studying Tantra, which at the time was very heterosexual. People were interpreting the union of Shakti and Shiva, which is energy and consciousness, to be like boyfriend and girlfriend. And it was very heterosexual. And obviously our community was not.
Right.
So Annie and I would go and learn something, a technique, a chant, a way of moving energy. And people would try to pair us up, try to separate us and pair us up with
guys.
Men. Yeah. It's like, oh, it's not going to work. And we're like, it's okay. Just watch. Watch and learn.
Like, we got it.
And then we would try something, and we would, if it worked, we'd take it back to the healing circle the next Tuesday.
So wait, when you would try something in this group that you would take back to the healing circle, are we talking, what is the room? Is it a room full of people sitting in a circle?
Yeah.
And what are you being instructed to do?
You might be eye gazing, you might be doing breath work, you might be touching hearts, learning how to visualize, imagine, and create energy circles between partners.
Okay, between two people, not everybody in the room.
Yes.
And this was sexual.
Sexual energy is not the same thing as sex. Sexual energy.
Yeah. But explain, because I know what you're saying, but I can't articulate why that makes sense.
Sexual energy, there's no difference between, petting the little dog energy. There's a little dog here. Aren't you jealous? He's adorable. Petting the little dog energy and going to work energy and recording this podcast energy, and then there's sexual energy. No.
And some people like reeks that though.
Yeah,
you know?
It's all sexual energy. It's just like which perfume you want to put on it, because I'm taking your reek example. I like that. Which flavor you want to put. What flavor of life force energy are you expressing right now? And you can turn up the volume on any one of them, including sexual energy. And yes, so sexual energy separated from sex and genitals is a fascinating thing, because when you go into sexual energy, you start to see that a huge percentage of what you're getting off on when you're having sex is the energy. Yeah. Not just the touch
or whatever. Yeah. The thing that's touching you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that's touching you. And that's what we practiced a lot of. And not only would we get into orgasmic states, we'd get into expanded consciousness, kind of, depending on your orientation, spiritual states.
Yeah.
Those places where it feels like your molecules have stepped a couple of feet apart and you kind of just sort of vaporized and become part of all that is, that kind of thing.
Whoa, that sounds awesome.
It is awesome. And knowing how energetically to get to states like that, you can then apply it to whatever kind of sex you like to do. You like penis and vagina fucking? Great. You can apply these techniques there. Okay. You like BDSM? Great. You can apply those techniques there, because it's about how to move the energy, how to expand the energy, how to extend the energy.
How do you start to amp up your, say I would like to, and yeah, it's true. Like if I wanted to expand or accentuate my sexual energy,
breathe more.
I gotta do? Okay.
Breathe.
Into the nose, out through the mouth? Do you breathe two places? Because I do that when I work out. Okay, just breathe.
Because now you can know that breathing in and out through the mouth increases energy, and breathing in and out through the nose is more relaxing. Oh, it's helpful to know that.
That is helpful.
And during the years I was studying this, I must have, and I worked with my male teaching partner, Chester, was as fascinated with breath as I was. So,
and you kind of knew that was like you were onto something with that.
It was. We knew that day one. Annie and I, our first tantra teacher, one of the first things she taught us was how to have an orgasm just by breathing. A full-bodied orgasm just by breathing.
Right. Yeah.
And
how hard is that to teach?
Incredibly simple. I do it all the time.
Can we do that at some point in this interview?
We can try.
Okay. Try.
I'm also releasing a meditation tapes. We used to call them tapes. People still ask me for tapes. Old people.
But I had tapes. Yeah. I'm 33. I had lots of tapes.
I recorded cassette tapes off the radio all the time. Yeah.
See? Yeah. So a meditation recording that'll be available soon. That talks you through it.
Okay.
But
basically, you breathe a bit more fully and deeply than you usually do. Chester and I studied and practiced every conceivable, that we could think of, different way to breathe to see if they had different effects, and they do.
Okay.
But you don't need to know that.
All right.
It's interesting at the advanced stages, but right now all you need to do is stop holding your breath while you're having sex, either with yourself or with someone else.
That's so interesting.
And it's really hard to keep breathing. As you get right near an orgasm, the body tends to hold its breath anyway, and you can use that constructively. But this holding your breath as if you're really quiet and hold your breath, you can find the orgasm.
Me masturbating all the time.
Yeah, it's everybody. I have a theory that's probably not true, but I love the theory, which is that when we were kids practicing being sexual with ourselves, what did we have to be? Quiet and quick. Mm-hmm. And how are you quiet and quick? You hold your breath. You don't breathe. Mm-hmm. So we learn how that orgasm happens like a short volcano in X number of seconds by holding our breath. And isn't it kind of like riding a bike or learning to type? Once you learn it one way, it's real hard to. It takes
learn another. Yeah. Well, it was funny because I've never masturbated in my childhood home. Like I didn't masturbate until I left the house and went to college. But I was just discussing this last night because I noticed like how much I hold my breath when I'm right about to come, and I was like, is this like low level autoerotic asphyxiation? Like that was because I was like, it's like almost when you can't breathe anymore, there is something erotic about. I like choking and stuff like that too. So that's how I made that kind of correlation in my mind. But I was talking to Kirsten, who Barbara just randomly knows my therapist, and it's a very kind of like non-traditional therapy, I would say. And I was like telling her that I have a creative blockage, and she was like, it's great that you're talking to Barbara tomorrow. And she was trying to explain to me in like a short amount of time how like creativity and like sexuality are very intertwined. And she goes, do you get very tired when you orgasm, or are you energized? And I said, I get tired, like knocked out, like completely out of it. And she was like, well, that means you're blocking your creative energy.
Really?
Yeah. And then I was like, how do I redo this? So because like I usually only come like clitorally or vaginally, and like even like a finger inside me or a toy inside me makes me nauseous, which we've talked about on the podcast before. And she recommended talking to you, but then also like she's like, just breathe through it, because it's not like excruciating pain, it's just like an unpleasant feeling. And so I was actually like working on this because my homework was to try to have like a G-spot or a cervical orgasm to kind of like break through. I didn't know if you had any tips on like, and she was like literally just like breathe through it. And I tried it and I was able to like get further in someone like touching my G-spot than I was previously. I mean, it's still, I didn't like orgasm by any means, but I didn't know if you had any insight onto that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I have to say, this is just kind of my rule of thumb.
Yeah.
If it doesn't feel good, don't do it.
That's a good
That's
rule.
what I had been living by. But then she was like, you're holding trauma in your vagina.
But
oh no, Corinne, get the trauma out of your pussy.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. What I would suggest is a beginning, because I get the whole notion of a block, but I try not to use that word, because the minute we hear the word block, we create one. I tend to think of sexual energy and orgasmic energy kind of like water. And you know how like water will get in anywhere? It will just find its way or seep, you know, you can't keep it out forever.
Right.
And I kind of think of the energy as water dissolving the block, getting around the block. Just because it's there doesn't mean you can't be creative, doesn't mean you can't have sexual pleasure. It's just something that, you know, it's a little bit in the way. I don't want to give it more power than that.
Right.
Makes sense.
So the breath and learning to breathe through, the orgasm will appear. It's sort of like, oh my God, there it is. Urge to hold your breath. Instead, take a bigger breath.
Okay.
Orgasm will run away. It will move down the track a bit. You'll go, fuck, that was such lousy advice.
Right. I'm thinking of Samantha in Sex and the City. I lost my orgasm.
Yeah.
Like that.
And I have lost my orgasm. I did it last night.
You just breathe following it down the track, because all it does is it feels like it hops away.
Okay.
And you go,
Yeah,
it's
but
not
you can't,
gone.
You don't know. Yeah, it's not gone, but you also don't know where it went.
There you go. So keep that, well said. Keep breathing. And it'll come back, and it may happen again. Keep breathing
Through your mouth or your nose?
I breathe through my mouth when I'm doing that, but you do what's comfortable for you.
Okay.
People with asthma are going to breathe a different way. Breathe more than you usually do.
It's the morning you have a bad breath, you gotta breathe with your mouth closed.
Only if there's someone else there. Yeah. And breathe. And as you come, try to keep just continually breathing through it, and even breathe through it happening.
Okay.
And see, my experience of that is an incredible expansion of the experience. It's just bigger and wider and fuller and goes on longer. And it takes practice.
And when you say breathe through something, do you mean, longer inhales, longer exhales, right? But like, I mean, I can breathe like, or I can just slowly, calmly breathe in. Like, what kind of aggression are we talking about? Because I can be aggressive with the breath, and it does different stuff.
Aggressive is a good word, and I'm glad you used it, because if you're being really aggressive with it, like
Lamaze,
that's not going to feel good,
right?
Because you're inhaling and exhaling forcefully.
Because that's what I do when I have a panic attack.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And all you're going to do is induce panic. But if you can relax your jaw, like do a yawn, a fake yawn, opens your throat, relaxes your jaw, then breathe. All my emphasis, I was breathing through my mouth, and all my emphasis was on the inhale. I wasn't sucking it in. But that's, if I had to make any effort, that's where it was.
Right. Okay.
And so just like letting it, like trapping something and letting it
letting it
free.
out.
Okay.
That little sigh just tells me I'm not pushing it.
Okay.
It just goes, oh, that's relaxed. If I were pushing it again, it would be
right.
And I don't want to do that because panic attack.
Right.
That's the kind of breath, and your breath will start to breathe you eventually. You're not going to be like doing it. It's going to be maybe longer, like you were doing. Now, if you breathe like that while you're also doing PC muscle squeezes.
Oh yeah,
AKA Kegels, but I'm over white men naming things like that after themselves.
Good call. That's what that's named after?
Dr. Kegel.
I'll never call it a Kegel again.
Oh, duh, of course, it's
PC
always
exercise. Is that what we're calling it?
PC squeezes.
PC squeezes.
It tells you what to do.
Right.
That just makes me think of politically correct. That's like always
give me a PC squeeze.
Oh yeah, the phrase PC was not as misused.
Right.
When I named it that.
Yeah.
Or when I stripped it of its previous title. Is more to the point. Practicing, and if you're going to hold your breath after you've been masturbating or having sex and breathing a lot, if you're going to hold your breath, do it totally. I mean, like clench your abs, clench your butt, clench your pelvic floor, clench your whole body, and hold your breath for like 15 seconds and go for it totally.
Okay.
And then let go.
Okay.
That's another energy orgasm technique.
Whoa.
So if you're going to do it, really do it. Not just I'm holding my breath, but nothing else has changed.
Yeah, because when I masturbate, and I always hold my breath, and my ex-boyfriend of 7 years would always say, like, you tense up and you just, when you're about to come, and you don't let it go through you. He's trying to say something along those lines.
Well, yeah. But so in my book, Urban Tantra, it's called Urban Tantra, Sacred Sex for the 21st Century. The breath and energy orgasm technique is in there in detail. So until the recording is available, and there's an audiobook now.
Oh, perfect.
So you can use that as a recorded meditation because there's an audiobook.
Perfect.
So you have given yourself a full body orgasm from breathing?
Oh, countless times.
And how long did it take you to learn to do that?
It's a good question. The first, I'm fond of a couple of techniques because I've practiced many, but these are the two I think most people get easily. The breathing up the body, in Tantra we would say breathing up the chakras, but those are just where, the locations of glands. It's just root, lower belly, solar plexus,
so
heart.
You breathe into those one at a time?
Throat.
And when you
crown.
say breathing in, you just
imagine.
Right,
imagine.
you think of that like, I can say, like, I've been in like yoga or something, and it's like breathe into your feet, and I can do that, and I feel my feet tingle. I'm like, that's cool.
That's it. That's exactly it. Exactly. Yeah. So do that.
Okay.
And you just breathe up, energizing the body one section at a time, one chakra at a time. And that one, Annie and I learned from our teacher, Jawala, and I got it first time out of the box. It was just like, wow, oh man, this is fabulous. It took Annie about some months of practice to get it. However, we went to Joseph Kramer's, I don't know what he called it. I called it Joseph's dance and breathe till you come party.
That's not the best party ever.
Yeah, but it's not what he called it, but that's what it was.
He just called it a birthday party.
Something like tantric group rebirth or something. Like, yeah. And what we did was breathe, run and dance, eye gaze, dance some more, breathe some more, lie down on the floor. Here comes the clench and hold. Clench, hold your breath and clench everything and just like push it. The easiest way to do it is just push yourself into the bed after you've clenched like your pelvic floor.
Right. And is that when you're supposed to have an orgasm?
And hold on for 15 seconds, clench, hold, let go. And that's when the orgasmic experience happens. Whoa. It took me months to get that one. Meanwhile, Annie's like, wee,
okay, so that technique worked for Annie.
So I put the two of them together when I teach workshops, figuring that I'm upping my odds that people will feel something.
Yeah.
And then they can concentrate on the bit they didn't feel as much from later, if they choose to, but at least they've got a tool that already works.
Right.
So, yeah, but now it doesn't feel exactly like a genital orgasm. In fact, most people report, me included, that the only place you don't feel a breath and energy orgasm is in your genitals.
Really? But it still feels as good as that kind of orgasm?
You go, oh yeah, I see why they call this an orgasm. And I think we all need to expand our definition of orgasm. Orgasm is not something that just happens when your genitals are stimulated. It's just not. It's a much bigger experience if you let it be. And I think you my examples are always, have you ever laughed so hard that you thought you could die from laughing?
Yes. Yeah. And that's the best. That is like one of the greatest feelings on the planet.
When you finally get a breath, when you finally go, oh my God, I'm not going to die, and get into it, and you're like, what does that feel like? To me, it feels like the afterglow.
It's like a recovery.
An orgasm.
Yeah.
And it has that same tingle feeling and that same a little bit out of body feeling, and so I call that a gigglegasm. And we've all had gigglegasms. We've all had crygasms. And many of us have had angergasms if we haven't stopped ourselves in the middle.
I feel like I've probably had that and didn't know it. What's an angergasm?
An angergasm is a pure release of anger that doesn't inflict violence on anyone else. In other words, it's happening.
I've never hit anybody or anything like that.
But it's most of us hold ourselves back from angergasms because anger is really scary.
Yeah.
You kind of have to, you can get into an angergasm through like an anger meditation.
There's an anger meditation?
I'm trying to think of the teacher who created a brilliant one. It'll come to me. And Debbie Ford.
Debbie Ford.
The late Debbie Ford created an anger meditation based upon, back to Osho, an Osho meditation. She borrowed bits of that. And it was just amazing because you were just with your own anger. There was, and it wasn't anger that was necessarily situationally attached.
Right.
It was just anger. And it's
anger. Felt great.
It
sounds amazing.
It's like lighting an inner volcano and setting it off, but having it do no damage.
Oh my God, that sounds like the best day of my life.
It is.
Because I have so much anger in me.
It is.
Wow. What about, we hear a lot from women who can't or have never had an orgasm, or they're like, I don't know if I have. So we're obviously like, you haven't probably. What would you say? Obviously, every person is unique, and the circumstances that have led them there are unique. But where do you start with that when someone asks you that? Is there anything that advice you'd give? Because we get that question all the time, and I'm like, turn the lights off, turn the air conditioning on, and do you? I have no idea.
One of the things I'll ask first of that is because most women who are asking that question have tried. Say, what do you imagine a great orgasm is? Mm-hmm. And then listen and go, okay, maybe it's often I don't know, and go, okay, but make it up.
Yeah.
If you knew, what would you know? And Play to that desire. Okay, you want something that's related to a partner, or you want something that's slow and frees you from daily cares, or you just want an amazing feeling, because we don't know, because we haven't had one, right? So, and I start with that because basically what I'm trying to do is give them what they want.
Well, and they're forming the path, right?
And
energetically, and
then we're forming the path.
Yeah.
And then a combination of the physical and the breath work. And I know some people, there's a young woman wrote a book, the name of which I will not recall right now. And it was her path to finding an orgasm. And passing through the breath and energy orgasms was one of the things she tried. I recommend vibrators a lot.
Okay.
I mean, that's where I start. I'm of the Betty Dodson school that way.
You don't, do you believe in desensitization? I use vibrators all the time. That's the only thing that gets me off. So, but I'm not, I mean, like everyone, like I was worried. I got the Hitachi, like the jacked up version. And I'm like, oh, I hope I'm not going to. You're only going to
desensitize it for a short period of time afterwards.
Okay.
And that does happen. You know, if you were to have an orgasm with a Hitachi magic wand, the souped up version,
right,
which I love as well.
I have the speed control and everything. Yeah, it's awesome.
And then try to use your fingers half an hour later, 20 minutes later, probably not so much.
Right.
But that's only a problem if the electricity goes out, right?
Yeah.
And as a friend of mine said, she would ask the question, do you come easy or do you come hard? And a lot of women come hard.
Yeah.
And they need vibrators.
Yeah.
It's just that freaking simple.
Yeah. So, and that's not a bad thing. And that's not a...
and now that vibrators, all the good vibrators, in my opinion, come in rechargeable. It used to be that you'd be dragging cords around. Yeah. I can't tell you how many I blew up traveling internationally.
With the wrong.
And forgetting in my jet lagged state that I hadn't put on the
converter.
Boom. There goes another $100.
Oh no, that's so sad.
And I finally started buying electric vibrators because I come hard in every, electrical configuration on the planet.
Can you make yourself come also with your hand?
Not so easily.
I can't.
Not so easily.
I started masturbating by humping things, so I needed I don't know if that, speaking of desensitization, that's just how I learned to come. So I need pressure, like just a lot, like an alarming amount.
That's a terrific observation, because the two main touches for producing orgasms are pressure and friction.
Yeah.
And what, in fact, for my erotic awakening massage for gender non-binary folk, that we don't talk about named body parts unless the person has a specific name they wish us to use.
Right.
We just rely on, we approach genitals as though, they all have glands and shafts and legs and bulbs. And we approach the genitals as though we've never seen them before. And all we know is glands and shafts and legs and bulbs. And then we play with friction and pressure.
Okay.
And what do you mean legs and bulbs?
Legs of the clitoris, which are
the nerves.
And the legs of the clitoris are anatomically. You can all Google this while you're listening. There are charts. And actually, I'm going to do a shout out and a plug. My friend Cindy Darnell, that's CYNDI Darnell.com.
She was recommended by Kirsten too. That's a big second name.
She's got to do this podcast.
She just moved here from Australia, right?
Yeah. She's got the Atlas of Erotic Anatomy and Arousal.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. It is a must watch.
I can watch it.
It's a video series.
Okay.
She's funny. It's accurate. Every person on the planet,
no matter what you have in between your legs,
needs to see this series.
Okay.
And yes, she divides it into basically vulvas and penises. However, the way she presents the information is gender free. She's talking anatomy. And actually it's required for everybody who goes through my professional training program.
Oh, okay.
So get it now.
Yeah.
And it explains in detail the legs, the bulbs, the anatomy of the clitoris, how it's an organ that actually extends up into the urethral sponge. The whole G-spot thing that whole thing's getting that.
Is it not?
Not so much.
I know. I heard when I was younger, like, oh, it's like a piece of sandpaper up by your belly button, and I remember going, I don't fucking feel anything.
The urethral sponge is erotic, period. The clitoris, when people say, I want a G-spot orgasm, I want a cervical orgasm, I want a vaginal orgasm.
So G-spot and cervical are different.
It's all a lot of feel-good tissue, and all orgasms are primarily clitoral. It's just different parts of the clitoris that are being stimulated depending on where you are in the vulva and vagina.
I remember one time, this was a little after college, and I told my ex this because he was dating a porn star at the time, so we were talking about sex, and I was telling him I had a orgasm in my asshole, but like on the outside, but it was isolated to that area, and I know I don't have a prostate, but I'm like, what is that? And then he was like, really? I've never heard of that. But I'm like, no, and I Googled it and nothing. And then now when I Google it, there's information about it, but what is that?
People are starting to get smarter. You see, there's almost no scientific research on sexuality.
Right. Because it's scary. I don't know. I think repressing sexuality is a form of control on a religion, government, whatever.
We live in a Judeo-Christian theocracy, basically. I mean, look what just went down.
I know.
Look, and you know what? I could say that phrase any day, and people would just apply whatever had happened that day to it. Look what just went down. And there is you could have an orgasm. You could have a nipple-gasm.
Can anybody have that?
Anybody can, but paralyzed people are particularly good at it because
really,
I had one friend who was paralyzed from roughly just below her breasts down. She could feel, if you stimulated her clitoris, she could have an orgasm that she could feel in her head and in her nipples.
Whoa.
Another paralyzed person I talked to could have an orgasm if a piece of skin kind of on their neck behind their ear was stimulated in just the right way.
Wow.
We're wired for orgasm. I like Wilhelm Reich's theories. And he basically said that orgasm was the body's natural tension release, healing, restorative system, that it did it better than anything else. And that bodies seem to be wired to have that experience. It's there for a reason beyond just our pleasure. It's good for the whole ecosystem.
Right.
And so the body will pretty much go out of its way to allow you to have an orgasm if your intention is there to have one.
Really? So
that is my belief and my observation.
Wow. And men too, because I don't know, men come
the paraplegic person I talked about with the ear, that was male.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Wow. And what if so then a lot of people, specifically women have talked to us about they can only, if they either can't come or they can only come clitorally, which I'm not that kind of person because
it's all a clitoral orgasm.
Right. Even if it's in your butthole.
Okay. You're right. It's not all.
because that really, when that happened, I was like, what the fuck?
Okay.
Was I born with a button that I didn't know?
I think we are erotically, remember that all our sex organs were identical pre-birth. It's all the same jelly poured into different molds.
Okay.
Huh.
It's all the same tissue.
Right.
It's just rearranged amongst different styles of genitals.
Yeah.
Sometimes called male and female, sometimes called intersex, sometimes called something else.
Yeah.
So, example. Early on, Cindy was there. I believe. I was doing what we called yoni massage workshops in Sydney. Yoni, vulva, vagina in Sanskrit. And a trans woman who now identifies as pansexual. Pansexual.
Oh, I never heard of that.
Between neither nor.
Okay.
It was
a person.
Was a person who had surgery that converted their penis to a vulva and vagina. They were not on hormones. They were already between the genders. And they said, could I come to the workshop? And I said, do you have a yoni? They said, yes. I said, you're in. Because anatomically, that's what we were going to do.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And she at the time. She wanted to know basically how it worked, just like everybody else in the room.
Right.
And,
that's the big question.
We were doing erotic massage in threes, rotations of threes, and everybody, this is way back in the early 90s, was practicing, what does it feel, this on the G-spot, G-spot massage. And my friend, Nori was her name, and it's okay because she cops to this story. She likes being talked about.
Okay.
And Nori said, I said, now how does that feel? That feels great. Do I have a G-spot? Well, technically you're not supposed to. Yeah, well, it feels great. Okay.
Perfect.
Then when we put the same, if you put two fingers in the vagina and kind of make a come hither gesture,
right.
You hit the urethral sponge, turn that hand over so it's now aimed down toward
your back.
Towards your back.
Yeah.
And press down, and now she had a prostate, so that felt good too. So all the other cis women in the room are like, oh, let's try that, see what happens with us.
Yeah.
And when we did that stroke, they all went, oh my God, that feels fabulous. Why?
Because they paved the pathway for it. I don't, like you were saying at the very beginning, like
I asked, my partner is Kate Bornstein, who had genital reassignment surgery, now called gender confirmation surgery, in 86. And I interviewed her surgeon way back in the day. He's passed away now. And I said, how come Kate appears to have a G-spot? And he just looked at me and said, well, I don't think I put it there. There's just a whole lot of erotic tissue down there.
Okay.
And that was a surgeon.
wow.
Okay.
A country surgeon. But that was Dr. Biber, one of the pioneers of that surgery.
Oh, okay.
And
so Kate has...
So that's how, it's, who knows... that's why you had an orgasm in your butthole.
Right. It sounds more like Zigga Zagga from the Spice Girls song Wannabe, which is like it's something that can be translated into anything that you want it to be. So I think your G-spot is just like
anything you
a
want
pleasurable spot inside, or
because some women come if you touch their nipples.
Yeah, and you can trace the nerves. You can trace which nerve system different areas of the body are wired to. And there are different nerve, pudendal nerve, vagus nerve, different sensations run on different nerves. So that does make a difference. There is some anatomy to it.
Okay.
But what I love is knowledge of anatomy combined with an intentional naivete. Once you learn the anatomy, you sort of unlearn it, which is an actual term, because you can't unlearn something completely, but you kind of loosen your death grip on it.
Okay. Stop getting so technical and
And then you adopt an intentional naivete, an intentional curiosity. It's like I'm going to pretend that I don't know all this stuff and just see what happens. But of course, you do know that stuff in the background. But the attitude of, I wonder what magic would happen if we tried this.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's how I got the butthole orgasm.
Exactly.
Because I was just like, I got time. Let's explore, and then just that can take you.
That's the attitude. In Tantra, one of the main precepts is let go of a goal. If a certain kind of orgasm in a certain period of time with a certain person done a certain way is your goal, and it doesn't happen exactly that way, you're a failure.
Right.
However, if you just kind of go, hey, I would just like to feel more relaxed and closer to you, beloved partner and just have a giggle of a good time and see where we go. Any number of delicious surprises could be at the end of that path.
That does sound like a fun path.
Yeah, it's
you're not as like, you know how it said like there's like 7 types of orgasms, so that you're not of that school of thought.
I think there's 1,000 types of orgasms.
That's much better. I like that
Some
one
of them
better.
have to do with genitals, some of them do not.
Okay.
Well, you've had an orgasm. You said one time it felt like you had an orgasm in your shoulder when you were coming down from.
But that was drug related.
Yeah,
that's
but
LSD.
still. Yeah.
Yeah.
But can't that still be orgasmic?
Oh yeah, sure.
Unblock?
Well, I mean, or people forget that orgasmic is just like a word that you can use in non-sexual life. But I mean, like, yeah, because a lot of the things you were describing, like a full body orgasm, to me, that's just like what, you know, Molly or MDMA feels like. It's a because to me, it's never involved in my genitals. Drugs are like one of the few times when I'm usually like never thinking about sex because there's just so much other things going on in your body.
Often that's a good description for a breath and energy orgasm. And in fact, I say in workshops, I did holotropic breathwork. Stanislav Grof developed holotropic breathwork back in the 60s when they outlawed LSD. He was using LSD as a psychiatric process, and he founded this breathwork. He created, discovered, repurposed, whatever, this breathwork into holotropic breathwork because it had the same effect. And when I did holotropic,
as LSD,
and when I had
gotta do that.
Yeah, you've got to do holotropic breathwork.
Write that down.
Holotropic breathwork. Just Google it. When I did holotropic breathwork, which is a 3-hour breath process,
wow,
it was better than any hallucinogen I'd ever done.
Really?
Very similar.
Really? Damn, our bodies are more amazing than we ever give them credit for.
And often sex is, to me, like the way in. It's the way in for a lot of people to their spirituality, to their emotions. It's the door opener. And it can point us to what it is we really want. I'm going back to the why sex question. I really encourage everybody to ask themselves, why do I do sex? What's the big payoff? If I had to pick one thing that is the real drive, that why I want to do sex, what is it? And like, it usually has something to do with connection, but people differ wildly.
Really? Like, what are some
in terms
examples?
of what they want to be in connection with?
Can you give us some examples?
Nature, their own inner being or inner peace. A partner is only one choice. God, goddess, all that is a big one. It's mine. It's in my book Ecstasy is Necessary, I asked this question and then I listed them all and then I kind of put them in the rough categories. But connection's there, but it doesn't just mean connection to someone else. And when you know why you want to do sex and then you start down a path of conscious sexuality, it will open other portals.
Ooh, I want to do that.
That's what the holotropic breathwork did, because MDMA, thank you, does that portal opening thing.
Sure.
And that's what holotropic breathwork was like for me, except the portals just kept going and going and going and going and going and going and going.
That sounds amazing.
Less geometric. But then you can kind of follow that path more consciously, like if it's nature or what, you can explore whatever that desire is outside of sex, as well as with sex.
Yeah.
It's the door opener.
And when you say sex, are you including in that category masturbation, like sex with yourself?
Sex with yourself.
So not necessarily partnered sex.
Absolutely. Partner sex is one small category.
Really? That's so funny.
For me.
That's like
I know
put a lot of emphasis on that category.
Yeah, they do. I wanted to get back to the women having orgasms things real quickly.
Yeah.
It's really good to know that only 30% of female-bodied people can have an orgasm through penis in vagina sex.
30%.
I think that's the last.
I knew it was low.
That's the last statistic I read.
Why? Is it the anatomy?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that's what I thought. Because I researched this for the book, and I'm like, because there's so many different types of vaginas, for example. There's so many different kinds, and you could see in some of them the clit. You could see like it's long, or it's in meatier vaginas. Like it looks like there's more opportunity to have an orgasm if you put.
And and the glands is only one piece of the
puzzle. Yeah.
So you can have penis and vagina. They make a wonderful variety of sex toys where you can be using a vagina, sometimes a vibrator, wearing one, while somebody's fucking you.
Right. Yeah. That's like my favorite activity.
Yeah. There's a million different ways to do this if we just let go of the I'm broken because this can't happen.
Right. And too, a lot of times, if somebody else, the partner's ego gets in the way of like, well, you need that and not me. Well, get over it. It's nothing against you.
Get over it.
It's truly not personal. Stop taking it that way.
I think starting those conversations in advance of having sex are really helpful.
Very.
Like, what I really like is, what I really don't like is, and oh, by the way, I am not an easy comer. I require a vibrator. So even if we're fucking, here it is. I brought it with me.
Yeah. Have that conversation before.
Yeah. That way it eliminates the, it's not you conversation.
Right.
And if they're still uncomfortable with it, you're with the wrong person.
Yeah. That was my instinct. What happens when I have sex mostly with men? I've had sex with a woman maybe a couple times in my life, but mainly it's with men. And so one time I'm just curious what your thoughts are on this. I had a crush on this guy like not too long ago, and I really wanted to sleep with him because I thought he was very attractive and he's very charming, and I just liked being around him, and I just wanted to sleep with him. And we started having sex, and I immediately knew he was just selfish, but not in an unkind way, but I'm like, I put it in layman's terms in my head, but I'm like, you're not good at this. Like, you're just not. And it's beyond me going, okay, let's slow down. It was just beyond that. But have you ever found yourself in a type of situation like that? And what do you say? Can you fix it? How do you make that suck less?
Oh, that's a great question. I suppose there's a number of ways. Just get it over quickly and understand.
That's what I did. I blew him because I'm really good at that, and I was like, okay.
And just go, hey, your story makes me feel sad. I mean, because that's the level of sex education that this charming, gorgeous being has not learned any sexual skills.
I know.
Because where was he going to learn them?
Right. And it's certainly not his fault. I kind of got mad at myself because I'm like, I mean, I'm not a sex educator by any means, but I mean, a huge part of our career is talking about sex.
Right.
I should have taken the time to do that, but it seemed beyond repair, even though I knew it wasn't, but beyond my ability to repair.
It's not your job to take him to school unless you want to marry the guy.
Oh, so no. Okay, yeah. I did not want to. Yeah.
It's not your job. And also, we can be grateful that he was simply bad at it as opposed to enacting some porn movie impossibility with
and
you.
And I've had that. Oh, God. Yeah,
so,
I hate that too. But yeah.
At least this way, it's like you still think he's a
gorgeous,
sweet guy.
Yeah.
So you're going to be kind.
Right.
And you're just going to end it as best you can, and
it was
just not go there again.
The sex was so bad, I saged my apartment the second he left. Like, I was just like that. Bad sex to me it's the worst.
It is
so bad.
Yeah.
It sounds very dramatic, but
and you then you do your cleansing ritual and go, okay, well, I tried.
Yeah.
But really, if it's not working, get out of it. Yeah. And I admire that you did it kindly because the person you were with was kind.
Yeah. I'm not gonna be like, you suck at this, leave. Like, that's terrible.
Yeah, that would only be if someone were being mean to you, and he was not.
Right.
But I mean, there is something like, I think there is something like kind of mean about like coming, like especially as like a male female kind of thing. Like men come a lot and then just like try to make peace and like don't even ask you or
don't even put a finger. Like,
I just don't allow people to leave, which I guess maybe is sexual assault. But it's not like I lock the door, But I just go, all right, time to make me come. Like, I just say it like that. I'm very.
I definitely knew that he wasn't gonna make me come. at all.
I just tap
with the
out
dexterity.
sometimes. I literally just say, like, in a nice way, because I'm like mean in real life, but I'm actually very nice in like sex life. And then I'm just like, I just don't think this is gonna work tonight, like in a nice way. And I think it's because it's like I can't let myself be there if I know that's like almost like I feel like I'm sexually assaulting myself in some ways. Like it's just not
good for you.
It's just not. I can't be there.
That's
why bad sex is.
That's the bit. We're now in that consent realm again.
Yeah.
Tapping out is keeping within your consent.
Right.
And I feel like too, I know with like female identifying people, they're the society, the way society has treated women with every little thing, the dress, everything we wear, what we look like and all that stuff. I think when you were describing at the top of the interview about like holding your breath and stuff, I almost feel like they, like, I don't know, there's just so many mental walls to get over and mountains to climb, I think, a lot of times with women and coming. And and that's why I feel like that's why a lot of times, and I've been in sexual situations where afterwards I'm like, I didn't want to do that. Why couldn't I know I didn't want to do that in the moment? It wasn't a shock. I mean, it wasn't like something terrible happened and I froze, because that I understand. But I'm like, I wanted to get out of that and I didn't. Like, why? Meaning, like, I feel like women aren't as present during it, maybe.
I think we dissociate because we've had so much bad sex, we've learned how to dissociate. And it's
sad.
And so it's like our first go-to.
Yeah.
Because on some level, I think many of us think that's safer than having a confrontation.
Yeah.
It is safer to dissociate and deal with it later.
Yeah.
I think we're just beginning to be at the place where we're starting to observe that we all do that, and we're talking about it.
Yeah.
We never used to talk about it. We just did it. And now I think we're like your phrase about tapping out. Mm-hmm. I think more of us feel safer to tap out. Yeah. As opposed to just finish and get it over with. You're aside because he was the sweet guy.
Yeah.
But there's still a whole lot of bad sex out there that isn't exactly outside our consent, but it's way outside our preference.
Mm-hmm. Right. And people could be making it bad. I feel like people have accepted bad sex. So a lot of too big of a chunk of people.
You got to practice at home. Figure out what you like. Figure out what you don't like. What is the best way to make you come? Some people women are like, the 2 o'clock position on my clitoris is exactly the right one. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, that would be the go-to instruction. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just get better and better and better with yourself. And then it's much easier to insist on that when you're with someone else.
Right.
It's like, no, not now. Just let me breathe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because you know your body more.
You know what's going to work.
Right.
And you start adopting that premise of, I give myself orgasms. They help. But I am responsible. That's the phrase. I am responsible for my own orgasms.
That's kind of a great thing for life, though, because you can use that in anything. Like, personal responsibility is just lacking kind of in society as a whole. So if you take personal responsibility of your orgasm, then it's like working inwards out, and then the world is your oyster.
Exactly.
That's a great concept to live by. Do you have a couple more minutes? I know I told you an hour because we just had a couple more things because we got so deep in the orgasm. Well, we always ask our guests kind of like, obviously you're someone who sex has played and sexuality has played a large part in your life. So we like to ask, like, how did you get started in sexuality, and like, what was your first sexual experience? Which I know we kind of talked about over email a little bit. If you wanted to tell us that.
We can't tell you again. Because the reason we talked about it over email was that I wasn't sure I should share it.
Right.
But you haven't given me permission. Here goes. Sure. I was 15 and I was doing my first summer of summer stock. It doesn't get more exciting than that for a theater kid.
Yeah.
Except when the 38-year-old director makes a really elegant pass at you and you take him up on it.
Elegant pass? What was his elegant pass?
Oh, it's just a really incredible kiss.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
And so, yes, the first time I had sex, I was 15, he was 38. And it wasn't that time. It wasn't like, one kiss and bang. It was actually almost a year later. We saw each other and got increasingly a bit more sexual. And he never,
What a good pace.
he never pressured me for sex. He never, there was like, would you like to try this? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But wait, he never pressured me for intercourse. That's what I'm actually specifically saying.
Okay.
Until I was ready for it. And therefore, when I was ready for it, it was fabulous.
Really?
And I continued.
What a build-up. I mean,
It was, yeah, exactly.
you had a year of foreplay.
Exactly. and what would it be called when you were a teenager? Third base. Lots of third base.
Oh, yeah.
But just not home runs.
Right.
And beyond that, I remember for my 16th birthday, this is the person who gave me the book that is still my theater Bible.
Oh.
I mean, he was
Amazing
so
man.
instrumental to who I am today.
Wow.
And I learned non-monogamy from him. He was probably not doing poly. He was probably just cheating. But
I was going to say ethical non-monogamy or unethical non-monogamy.
you think I had that conversation at 16?
Right, I know.
Right,
Yeah. I
thanks.
just learned that word. So
It's been around 2 minutes, that word. And it went on for 4 years until I finally ended it because I was just moving on and wanting to explore women more. And,
yeah, it was a great experience.
I'm devoutly pansexual, but it was a process of discovering that.
Yeah.
But it was a delightful experience.
Yeah, because I
And relationship. And I later worked with him. He was an actor and a director. On Broadway, I worked with him twice.
Oh, cool.
In years that followed. And a couple of years ago, he came over to my house in Rhode Island for dinner.
Wow. Yeah.
He and his wife.
Right.
Nice.
The same wife?
Same wife.
Oh, wow.
Wow. And the wife knew? They were just,
You're not sure. It's so interesting because I think when
That
you were
was a
concerned
shrug.
about telling it, like,
Thank you.
I think it's like however the experience
Was for
felt
you.
for you, because so often, like, especially now, like everyone likes to be like, you were a victim and this happened and you should feel trauma, but it's like you feel however you feel about the experiences that you've had in your
Everyone's
life.
unloading their own shit.
Age of consent just is kind of like whatever country you happen to be in that when it happens. And
also state by state.
And state by state.
Sometimes it's 15, sometimes it's 18.
And it's there was it was, I will say to this day, and I know there are people who will argue you can't consent when you're that age because blah 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 blah, would plug in
you
the
know
reason.
who you are and you know what you thought
and it
at
was
the time.
like, oh no, this was 300% consensual.
It depends who you are. When I was 16, I 100% could have consented. Like, I feel very much the same, like, mentally, which maybe is not great, but I feel like me. I always felt like me.
I talked to people about their inner 16-year-old, the inner child thing.
Yeah.
I said, okay, we've done that. Let's talk to your inner 16-year-old. I bet you'll find that you believed many, if not all of most of the same things at 16 as you do now.
Yeah.
And if you let your inner 16-year-old guide you with the brain capacity you have now as an adult, you will probably find yourself straight in the path of your true desire. And I don't just mean sexually.
Really?
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because I think we often lose sight of like the things that we wanted to do when we were in high school, or like whatever you wrote in your yearbook, like, this is my goal. Like, I wrote like some stupid stuff like see you on the red carpet, but then I actually like went and pursued something that would allow me to be on the red carpet.
Mine was the greatest pleasure in life is doing what people say you cannot do. Like have an orgasm just by breathing.
Yeah. One of the question I have for you, do you ever work with people who have been experienced sexual assault?
Yeah.
Because that's we'll get emails all kinds. I was raped and I don't feel bad. Is that weird? No, it's not weird. You feel how you feel. I was raped. I can't come again. Like, that's what how do you, is there obviously everyone has a unique case and they're your own unique person anyway. How does one begin to start rediscovering sexuality after being sexually assaulted? Is there any hot tips? But like, just, or things to keep in mind. if you are attempting to do that?
Go slowly.
Yeah.
Go slowly. And no, there isn't any one specific one. The circumstances are always different.
Right.
Violent assaults of somebody breaking into your apartment are very different than
An uncle.
An uncle. I was just going to say incest when you were 12. And so by hearing a bit of the backstory, you and referring people to trauma specialists is a really good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
There are more and more people specializing in trauma work. But go slowly and beware of anyone who tells you that you just have to push past this.
Oh, yeah, that's sensitive.
I have, whatever it is.
Right.
You're not facing it squarely. You're going to be in this forever unless you take a leap into the heart of the darkness.
Have you heard people say that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
There are some tantra practitioners, one in particular I'm thinking of in Europe, who used to be very fond of that technique. I hope he's out of business.
Oh, my God.
He did a lot of damage. So just, there are lots of different paths you might try, the survivor.
Right.
And, just back out if it doesn't feel right. Do not say, but this may be what it takes to get there.
If you feel unsafe or
seriously triggered.
Yeah.
I mean the PTSD kind of triggered, not the I'm uncomfortable or pissed off at you triggered, but the PTSD triggered. Back off, get support, look in another direction. Keep looking.
Yeah.
Keep looking. And guidance of a qualified trauma specialist, depending, of course, on the extent of the assault.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's a good.
Because so many people have experienced some level of sexual assault.
I mean, it is crazy. We've heard every kind of...
anyone in New York City,
I feel like we've heard every kind of story you can ever hear. I was raped as a baby. I was raped as a 4-year-old. I was impregnated by my father when I was 9 and he tried to give me an abortion. I mean, every fucking story under the sun. The stories I'd even know in my wildest dreams
were possible,
couldn't
right?
Even,
yeah, I got you.
And then all sorts of reactions to those experiences because everyone is born with this level of resilience.
Yes, and I think rewarding people for their resilience, good point.
Yeah,
is really important. As in, oh my God, that happened to you, and you don't feel blah 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 blah. You feel instead okay about blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. That's wonderful.
Yeah,
as opposed to I must be a psychopath that this didn't bother me.
Right. Yeah, it's all the way you look at it.
Is that
absolutely? And the last thing that we want to talk about, just because it's been, an interesting, in quote, couple of weeks, as someone who,
as it always is,
whose partner is a trans woman, like what can cis people be doing because it's so hard, and I think a lot of people are still confused by what it means to be trans, a trans experience. Obviously, we have not had it, but like, what are things we can be doing besides, donating to Trans Lifeline in a time where our government is actively trying to erase the existence of trans people, even though they can't be erased,
because they're here.
This is like they're human beings that exist. Yeah.
Erasers don't work that way.
Yeah.
Kate wrote a piece for Rolling Stone. It's on rollingstone.com. About why the bullies won't win.
Okay.
And she says, and I agree, that what we need to do, the era of the rich, white, old male bully, real man, they have all the power. The percentage of them is getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
But they're all in Congress.
Yes. Wait for it. But they want people to think that they represent the majority and everybody else is a freaky separate minority. Mm-hmm. If women and gay people and people of color and trans people and sex workers and everybody who isn't them got together in support of each other, formed coalitions, even small local ones that provided an example to the community of people like I stand with, because our issues are actually the same. If you can be erased, I can be erased. And if we band together, if we stop being so sectionally argumentative.
Right. Yeah.
Well put.
It's like, I don't... no matter what you think your identity is, if you go to a Facebook page that celebrates your identity, people are going to be yelling at each other for not being a perfect enough identity.
Yeah.
Or saying the wrong thing. We have to fucking stop it. Mm-hmm. There's a Facebook group, a transgender, where any intelligent discourse is allowed. I mean, the group was intentionally formed so that we could talk about hard topics without jumping down each other's throat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even if they were not PC. Squeeze them, everybody, squeeze them.
Mm-hmm. I'm doing it right now.
And so I agree with Kate. Just as if you aren't a certain oppressed minority that you are in sympathy of, find a way to join up. Bring friends with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it takes allies that aren't in the group to
not just be an ally. Say, we have the same issue. If you're not the right gender, I'm probably not either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not I could be an immigrant so easily because I want to get out of this country and live somewhere else so badly that I can relate to the immigrant experience. Find points of connection.
See, I totally agree. And like,
we have more than we think.
I wrote this whole piece on how feminism can take a lot of notes from the civil rights movement.
Yes.
And like, I had to take it. The publisher made me take it out of the book because she was like, she's like, and I understand why she did, because, or the editor, because it was going to cause more problems because people are not open to discourse in the way that we try to be on the podcast,
right.
on this podcast.
It's conversation.
And so it would turn into just a blip, and then it would be like, what the headline would be like, white feminist thinks that her struggle is the same, and like, that's not at all what I was saying. I was literally saying, like, the point of history, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinions, is to we learn about it to, like, yes, learn history, but also like take some notes on mistakes and issues and how are they solved. We always talk about the Salem witch trials. I mean, there's a lot of notes you could be taking, and you just see the same things in society happening over and over again. And I was like, well, if we didn't separate this and think, well, this was people of color, this was disabled people, this was immigrants, like we could. I feel like we're just so precious about our own struggle,
and it's a struggle off.
Yeah.
It turns into that.
A struggle
And
off.
it's like, can't we just agree that we all have struggles
and
that we care about each other?
You've brought up a good point about knowing your medium. Mm-hmm. For instance, what can we learn from the civil rights movement as feminists is a fabulous podcast idea where you could go into a deep discussion with a couple of people of color, trade ideas. Black feminists talk back and forth,
right?
Hispanic, whatever.
I tried to put it in the book, and I was Daily Beast asked me to write an article, and they also wouldn't take that.
The Daily Beast, man,
no one would take it.
You were dropping some good ass points. Then that's what that means.
So it's like, where can we have this conversation?
Yeah,
on a podcast.
Yeah,
you could have that on a podcast or a radio program or whatever, and that way, if the person of color goes, you can't have that one, you can't appropriate that one,
like, okay,
you work it out, and give the model of working it out in real time. So
it's like, see how people can work it out and not just yell at each other and call each other terrible things.
I really encourage you to turn that into a podcast. I think it sounds brilliant.
Thank you. Well, at least someone liked it.
Where can we find you online? What and your books? Where can we buy your? I mean, I buy your books anywhere books are sold, but
website,
what books should we buy? Where?
Okay, here we go. BarbaraCarrellas.com. Carrellas is 2 R's and 2 L's A-S. BarbaraCarrellas.com. And the books, Urban Tantra, Sacred Sex for the 21st Century, now in a brand new 2nd edition.
Ooh.
Ecstasy is Necessary. Guide to Relationships, Sex, and so much more. And if you can, Luxurious Loving, which is a photo illustrated intro tantric sex book.
Ooh.
And what else? I have workshops frequently. I'm particularly proud of my professional training program. We just opened registration for the next one in the UK for June.
And training for?
It's for anyone who wants. It started as people who wanted to bring more conscious sexuality into their work, whatever their work was, whether they were pro-doms and escorts or yoga teachers or artists. We even had a doctor from the National Health in England come. People from every walk of life now have been through this program.
Wow.
It's a step into not only changing how you do sex, but how you help other people to see sexuality in whatever field you're in. And it's my favorite program to teach. But workshops all the time
on various categories.
Yeah, all sorts of. Okay. And it's
on
your website. The page on the website for workshops and upcoming events. And look out for the Breath and Energy Orgasm Instructional MP3, which is due any.
Oh, I can't wait.
Any week now.
I'm going to come so hard when that comes out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. This was a great episode. We learned a lot. I'm sure our listeners will be signing up for your courses. We have a lot of sex educators and such who listen to the program. So
that's great.
This has been Guys We Fucked, the Anti-Slut Shaming Podcast. We'll talk to you next Friday.
When they see us, they seize up. I'm black like diseased lungs. I'd rather write a book than read one. The white guys on my money won't allow my freedom. Nothing worse than getting dirt all on a clean rug. Take precautions and be cautious. I can do anything and make it seem awesome. I love cream cheese frosting. Some people don't listen and keep talking. Please stop it. Take a piece off it. The sweet chocolate. You got the cutest cheeks. Now let me pinch those. Let me see if you can take it till I reach your lymph nodes. I'ma make this bitch moan as every inch goes. Smacking that ass so hard that my handprint shows. I'ma make it. That's word to my Aunt Evelyn. You gon' die soon. Word to
Third Love is passionate about the perfect fit, and they believe it's time for your bra to fit you, not the other way around. Their collections are designed by women for women, so you will love the way you feel under each and every look. And now they offer over 70 sizes and more than a dozen styles. So you'll find the perfect bra for every moment and every outfit. Get 15% off your first purchase by going to thirdlove.com/GWF today.